Welcome to Rewrite Reality with Jillian Grace, the podcast leading the global shift in transformation through frequency, quantum healing, and energetic mastery. I'm your host, Jillian Grace, architect of energetic alignment, and for 20 years, I've been a pioneer of integrating self-transformation for thousands of souls. Each week, we answer the questions that keep you stuck and deliver high-frequency tools to heal and evolve every layer of your being. Join me to elevate your vibration, rewrite your reality, and activate the life your soul remembers. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Rewrite Reality with Jillian Grace. This episode is going to be in honor of the spooky time of year that we're in right now. With Halloween in the United States, we're going to dive into the unseen. We are going to dive into ghosts, we are going to dive into timelines, and we are going to dive into the energetic residue that can be left behind. So I want to invite you to listen with not just your ears, but your intuition. I want you to be open to receiving different concepts and different ideals about frequency and how it plays a role in your life and how it plays a role in your space and the space around you as we really step into this topic and we start to shake up some incredibly powerful ideas around the paranormal. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of this episode where I'm going to be providing you with a transmission of frequency to help you release any energy that might be connected to you that you don't want around. So at the end of each of my episodes, I always provide you with an energetic talk down where you can take some of the things that we chat about and learn to instill them right into your energy field immediately. For this episode, I have a wonderful one planned, so make sure you stay tuned. So first, ghosts as a frequency theory. So ghosts in many different spiritual traditions are considered vibrational echoes. They're echoes of energetic imprints. They're echoes of energy that's stuck in between dimensions due to unresolved trauma, attachment, or confusion. There's a lot of different theories that go around hauntings and go around paranormal spaces. But I want to pan out of those in looking at them in the physical. And I want to do what we do on this podcast. I want to look at them from the energetics that exists within frequency. So when you have a location that has experienced something that is traumatic, you're also going to have a location that has an identifiable frequency that's different from the normal frequency around you. So let's pan out for a second while I explain that. If you are in your home normally has a pretty identifiable frequency for you. It feels like home, quote unquote. Many people will say that. When I walk in the door, I feel so relaxed. Sometimes it could be the opposite depending on your home circumstances. But we're just going to create a generalization here. And we're going to say for a large portion of people, when you walk into your apartment or you walk into even your bedroom or you walk into your house, you get this feeling of familiarity and you get this feeling of safety. And the reason why you do is because that frequency matches you. So we're chatting again about that frequency and the power of that energetic energy around you. So that means the entire space is charged with your frequency. Not only is the space charged with your frequency, the items in it are as well. So you get this relaxed feeling. Now, when you pan out and you go to a place that's large, it has a lot of different people in it. So let's say a mall. There's a lot of different frequencies that consist in a place like that. You will often hear people saying after they go to a mall, they'll feel exhausted. They'll feel tired. There'll be times when they're shopping where they just are like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. Or when they're done, they'll start to feel some of those feelings. That's because that location is a collection of all the people that are inside of it from a frequency standpoint. And there's a vast array. And depending on what your frequency is, the frequency of others can either bring you up or bring you down. So if you go to a place of worship and you go to a place that you feel comfortable and safe, a lot of times the frequency will be higher. And that's why people feel peaceful when they're in those structures. I'm drawing that line of how your location can also carry a frequency connection, the energetics of your location. And it's very obvious. You can feel it. You can't see it. Like a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast. And that feeling and that intuition is going to become so increasingly important as we embark upon this new world of not being able to believe what you see, which we've chatted about before. So our objective is to open up to the understanding that you're going to be feeling different frequencies at different locations. Now let's take a place that has major unresolved trauma. Let's take a place that has major violent behavior that was there, or violence that took place, or something that was a lower frequency occurred within that structure. What's going to happen? That structure is going to hold that lower frequency. So when you walk into that structure, your frequency, which may be at a very content, very peaceful frequency, is going to feel that shift because the structure that you are placing around you is going to shift your energy into it. So you're going to walk into, and this happens in other people's homes and other people's places where they are the primary frequency. It can happen to a lot of people after you move out of your parents' house. Whenever you walk into your parents' house, for some reason you default back to that child again, even though you're a grown adult. That's because those walls, that location, holds a specific frequency that once triggered within you creates an energetic memory, and then you start matching it if you're not aware. And that's what 90% of people are not. They are not aware. So let's say you walk into a structure that's had a lot of trauma, had a lot of negative frequencies in it. Then when you step into that structure, what's going to happen to your frequency? It's going to match it. And then you're going to find you become more fearful. You're going to find you start to have those emotions of sadness, those emotions of unease, those emotions of lower frequencies. And when you're at a lower frequency, we've talked about this before too, and I don't mean to always make reference to that, but I always want to encourage people, if you are just tuning in and this is your first episode, please do not ignore the episodes prior to this. They all build upon each other, and they're all going to give you very significant understandings of that quantum energy and the energetics of you. So take a peek at some of them, because we also talk about what happens when your frequency shifts. You start to attract things at that frequency. So we're going to build upon this a little bit more. You walk into the structure that has a lot of negative energy, a lot of negative frequencies that have happened in it before. Your emotional baseline, or your energetic, starts to connect with that frequency. So you're immediately going to feel it emotionally. And then as soon as you open up to those lower vibrations, those more negative feelings, that feeling of fear, that feeling of not being safe, then you're also going to open yourself up to having experiences that mirror that. And this is one thing that I love to discuss with people about anyone who's afraid of hauntings, anyone who's afraid of evil spirits, anyone who's afraid of that darker energy that so many people have encountered and nobody can really explain. It can only affect you if you are vibrating at it. And this is where I come up against a lot of belief systems that try to give you this us against them approach. If you believe in darkness or lower vibrations or negative energy, and you give it a lot of thought, you give it a lot of emotional base, a lot of fear, that actually leaves you open to it connecting to you, or you beginning to create at that level. It's extremely important to learn the energetics of controlling your own vibration. And you see this even on ghost hunting shows, which I always think is so funny. You've got your ghost hunting people that will go into a space that had all these traumas and all these different negative things that have happened into it. And you will have the main characters who are totally unaffected by anything that goes on. They're not even connecting with it. They're like, okay, this is what's happening. They show no fear. They truly are just more inquisitive and more about trying to document something scientifically than they are emotionally engaged. They usually come out completely unscathed. And the few times when there has been something negative that's happened, it's always been to like the cameraman who is only there because he has to be and is actually extremely terrified of hauntings. He holds that frequency that is then going to become a beacon or a magnet to the other lower vibrations. So the reason why you can go into a location and you can have a negative experience that many people have had and it can be labeled as haunted is two reasons. You walk into the location, you match the energy of the location, and then you add on top of the matching of the energy location, the fact that you're going to have a lower vibration and you're going to start to feel fear. And as soon as you do that, you are going to put yourself at a baseline of being able to experience fear, being able to experience whatever is going on that's negative in there. Okay, so we've brought on the layers already. That when you walk into the structure, you can connect with the frequency that's already there. It can drop your frequency lower. You're then going to start to experience things that are at that frequency. which is going to open you up to some of the activities that people talk about that is extremely unsettling for them. You're now also going to be a magnet to whatever negative energy or lower vibrations that exist in that structure, being able to connect onto you, because you are a frequency, you're an energy, you're a moving being. So if you can do that, you can have those emotions and you're in that space and you allow yourself to connect with it so deeply that you almost become enthralled or become lost within it, then you also become a host to it. And this is where energetics starts to become very sticky. So I've had many people throughout the years who have come to me and have had this feeling of unease on a consistent basis, and they could mark it back to a certain event or a certain place. They can say, I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden, I went here, or I went and had this experience. It can be a big one or a small one. It can be something like I went to college. And you have to understand that the energetics between your home and college are going to change significantly. And the energetics within college are not the best. They really aren't locations of very positive things that take place. And I don't necessarily mean to say anything negative about college, but if you think about it, it's this huge dump of a lot of beginnings of people's lifetimes as adults where they still feel very lost. They still feel very disconnected. They still feel very alone. They're not getting the answers that they want. So all that confusion starts to bubble up. So even something that large or that significant, when you shift your energy from the energy that it was, and then you move to that different situation, you're going to have this huge energetic recalibration that happens where you match that location unless you know what's happening. If you know what's happening, then you can tune your dial in. You become in control of where you're going to direct those frequencies. And that's the difference. That's what I like to teach all of you. These frequencies are here. It doesn't matter what you want to call them, if you want to label them good, if you want to label them evil, if you want to label them lower, if you want to label them higher. It doesn't matter what you label them. The energy is still the same. And the awareness is still all you need to know how to control and manipulate them. So if you're aware, okay, if I go into this location, I know it's got negative energy. What can I do? I have to go here. What can I do to fix that? We're going to talk about that at the end of this podcast. And I'm going to teach you how to safeguard that energy and have awareness of when that energy shifts within you so that you have to find a way to rebalance it and find a way to recenter it so it stays your own. And this is what I see so much of. People giving away their energy to whatever it is around them because they don't understand what they're doing. We chatted about that on our previous episode where we talked about using your energy as currency. This goes right along with it. If you know you're going to be at a location that is a lower vibrational energy, then you can absolutely still go there. You just have to make sure that you maintain your energetics properly in order to be able to move through it without any residual trauma or residual energy that changes your frequency. So that is how ghosts are vibrational echoes, or hauntings are vibrational echoes. They really are just the location holding a vibration. And then when you step into it, you match it and you begin to become its echo. And it's your choice of whether or not you want to do that. So that's one strong theory around ghosts and understanding ghosts. I have worked with a lot of people that have had experiences with the paranormal and that have had to learn how to change their energetics in order to shift that frequency so that their space can be much more predictable and much more their own. And I can tell you that it's an energy thing. It's not necessarily we call it ghosts because it's a lower energy and it has to do with the past. But all that term really means is the frequency of the residual energy that's within any location or structure. And since we are all frequency, we can feel those things. And again, I'm going to remind all of you, you see and feel at the frequency that you are. Understanding that helps you to understand how to be more of a creator. So there's other times when you're going to be more susceptible to seeing ghosts. And those are anytime your own vibrational frequency shifts down to a lower state. So when you are feeling grief, sometimes when if you're really sick, you'll start to see ghosts. Sometimes if you're very fearful, you'll start to see the presence of ghosts or the presence of energy around you or feel the presence of energy around you that is not your own. Again, those are all situations where you're lowering your frequency. And remember what we just chatted about. if you lower your frequency, you take your internal currency and you say, I'm going to allow this to be affected by the outside world, or I'm going to match what's going on in this outside world, then you start to vibrate at it. So you start to add to it. You start to become it. You start to be susceptible to it. And you essentially open up your own energy to it. So that's why I encourage a lot of you to keep in that higher state of mind. And that's one thing that I always try to tell each one of you whenever we sit down and we do these podcasts together each week. We talk about the things that are going to lower your vibration naturally and how you can rise above them. Things like victimization, feeling like you're a victim, getting stuck into that mode, lack of abundance, lack of self-love, grief. We chat about those topics. And the reason that I want to chat about those topics with you is to teach you how to heal them, so that you can become sovereign. You can step away from them and you can no longer create in that space, so that you have a higher level of frequency in your energetics. So everything that we talk about is how we can get those energetics to be something that work for us, because we are the boss, instead of we end up working for them because we don't understand that mismatch that can happen. This next concept we're going to talk about around the energy and frequencies of ghosts and hauntings in the paranormal is a very interesting take. So I'm going to tell you to take a step back, take a breath, open up your mind here, because the science coming out around timelines, around time as we know it, is shifting so rapidly. Again, I chatted about this in one of my previous podcasts, where I talked about how we have so much scientific proof that we are not living in a linear time space. So it is not a past, present, and future going on a line in a span separate from one another. It is really time all interconnected and interlocked upon each other, different timelines that are resting upon each other in more of a vibrational fashion. And you have the ability to tune into what timeline you want to tune into at any given time. And we've talked about that. I don't want to become any multi-layered and confused on it for this podcast, because we're talking about the energetics of a location and the energetics of the paranormal. So I want to make sure we stay on topic. But I just want to open up this thought process for you. Some theories suggest that ghosts or paranormal experiences are actually just bleed through from parallel timelines, moments where the veil thins, where there's overlapping realities that become visible. So take a breath for a moment. That's a heavy one to take on. A lot of words there. Basically, another way of looking at hauntings is understanding that the past and the present are all occurring at the same time, and the future are all occurring at the same time on different timelines. And that there's certain areas where there may have had more or heavier experiences in the past, where those timeline veils become thinner. And when you're present in them, you can actually feel them and experience them as you're there. You see this commonly with people who experience old locations where there was like a war that took place and a lot of people died on that land. You will hear all sorts of things of people seeing soldiers from that time period go by, or feeling the presence of, someone who is going through a traumatic situation on that battlefield.
Before we continue, let's take a breath. You're here for a reason, not by accident, not by coincidence, but through divine orchestration, and these words were meant for you. This is your moment to rewrite humanity. Think of one soul in your life who needs this transmission and send them this podcast episode now. There are so many out there who are silently struggling. Our role is to reach them, to ignite something ancient and true. Whether it's someone you love, someone lost in the noise, or someone ready to remember who they are, this is your chance. Because vibrational awareness doesn't just shift minds, it realigns lifelines. It reawakens paths. It reconnects souls to their original blueprint. Be the bearer of that light. It isn't just generous, it's sacred work. Share this, speak it, seed it. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement, and you're a vital part of it. Let's rewrite humanity together, one frequency, one soul, one remembrance at a time. Now we continue.
I want you to step back and think if what we're understanding deeper in the quantum world about time has the validation that many scientists know it does, then that would indicate that there are several things going on within your space. You're only attuned, however, to what you can see. That's heavy. I wanted to bring that up, though, because I think it's an extremely important part of understanding another facet of hauntings. And it goes actually in line with what we talked about with the vibrational echoes. Because if you're in that space and that space is housing an older frequency due to whatever trauma it's experienced, because there's multiple timelines, then when you choose to feel that energy, you're essentially shifting and choosing a different timeline, which means you start to mirror that experience. You start to connect with that frequency at a level where you can now be open to feeling and open to having that experience unfold in front of you as if you were a part of it. So that's kind of a mind-blowing way to look at the paranormal and to look at ghosts and activities such as that. And the way to keep your energy as steady as possible and headed into the timeline directions that you want is to keep your emotional base as high as you can. Keep that forgiveness up. Keep that releasing of anything that comes through your energy field that's negative. Try to make sure that you let it go consistently. When you do realize there was a quick shift in energy, this happens often when people go to certain stores. They'll say, I was in a really good mood, and then all of a sudden I got exhausted and angry and frustrated. That's because you went into that location. You matched what was there. It's not because you just went out and now you're tired. And this happens a lot with people who claim to be introverted. You just feel the shifts of energy too much. You don't know what to do. And then we gave it a name. We called it, you're introverted. So all of a sudden you read into that and you're like, I'm just going to stay out of large spaces. I'm not going to be where there's a lot of people. When really you're meant to experience everything in this world, whether you're introverted, extroverted, whether you're struggling with any kind of ailment, no matter what, really what you're feeling is the energetics that are taking place, and how you're labeling those energetics can change your experience dramatically. So when people go into a department store or they go into a store and they feel exhausted, I want you to have an awareness when that happens to you, it's because something connected to you, something pulled your energy off balance. You changed your frequency in some way by being present in that situation. So now your frequency is matching it, and it is up to you to do something about it. And what you can do about it is relatively simple. First, awareness is key. And that's what I'm always saying to all of you. Awareness is key. Once you become aware of it, what you do with it is going to change how it processes through your energetic field. You become the architect the moment you have the awareness. You can decide if you're going to stay in that place. So let's say you walk out of the department store, you feel exhausted and angry, and you're like, okay, wait a second. I don't want to be exhausted and angry. Well, what can you do to change the frequency back up? And this is where a lot of the techniques that we talk about come into play. You can use different mantras. You can do different breathing technique. When you breathe in, you bring in more prana. We just chatted about that. You're bringing in more energy. You're allowing energy to shift through. It's a way of cleansing those frequencies in and out. You can decide you're going to step outside and just soak up the sunshine for a minute. Take a couple deep breaths. Ground yourself. All of these things that were either labeled as New Age techniques or even related under the cloak of different spiritual practices, they are those things, but they're also way more. It's because we knew how to reprogram our frequency many centuries ago. This is not uncommon. This is something that our ancients totally understood. They knew how to align with different frequencies. They knew how to release things out. They had rituals that they did to let things go. When it came to any type of ancient system, it's how it functioned. It's how it thrived. They had this awareness. We got away from that. So having a way of opening that back up into your existence or into your daily world is huge. Becoming self-aware is key, because as soon as you hit that threshold of knowing that you felt something and then there was this shift, or you started to feel a certain way, that's how you know your energetics just match that location. And as a sovereign being, you get the choice on whether or not you're going to continue down that road with your energetics matching it, or if you're going to redirect your energetics. And I've got a practice at the end that's going to help you to sort of talk your way through and release that energy as well. So stay tuned as we move through this. There are also other ways that you can clear unwanted energy. You can sage or smudge White sage is the best to cleanse any space. This is something that the ancients knew. They knew that fire would transmute energy because it's an element. So your transmuters of frequencies that will sort of change something around and help it to recalibrate is going to be earth, water, wind, and fire. The elements, the things that burn up, they create alchemy. Those are the things that are going to help to clear a space. So I always encourage people, sage your home, sage your space as much as you can. Not necessarily every day unless you are really in a bad sorts, but at least once a month around that full moon cycle, because the full moon cycle changes the frequency of the planet, which changes the way we can interact with different vibrations. So I encourage people to always sage on that full moon period. Other great tools, Palo Santo is great. There are singing bowls that you can use that create music. The vibration of it just expands, also clears space. You're creating wind when you use those bowls. Different crystals can also help that. There's different elements within the earth that were given to us specifically to help assist in clearing spaces. Black tourmaline is good for that. Selenite is good for that. There's a lot of different ones out there. Salt bowls can help clarifying energy. Playing any kind of mantras or holy music where you can repeat back some of the words that are spoken and release that out into the energy around you. Space clearing rituals like light and sound and movement. If you take and you open up all the windows in the house and you let the air blow in, those are all great ways of moving energy in clearing a space. If you are noticing that you have unwanted frequencies that are in your current space. And how does that happen? Let's say we go to an area that experienced trauma. We may not even know that experienced trauma. There are so many areas on this planet where there was ancient battles that took place that we don't even know about. There's no documentation. It went way beyond what we can have put down on paper. And when you walk through them, you connect with those energies. And let's say you're at that vibration, you don't realize it, you bring it into your space. What happens? It's now in your space. So your personal space that is your own little safety net now is also filling with the frequencies that you picked up unwantedly. So that's why saging your space is really important to help calibrate that energy and bring it back to a balance of just you. Also, your own personal self, because you can have things attached to you, things that you don't want. And I've experienced this and worked with many people throughout the past 20 years that have had things attached to them that they didn't want in their energy field. And we've worked through how to release them. And we're going to work through a guided release now for if you ever have a moment when you experience that you have this connection onto you, that you need to release it out. If you go through a day and you're just feeling really, at the end of the day, drained and tired and you just had enough, that also is a strong indicator that you have additional energy on you that's not yours. So it's going to be a great time to use this ritual as well. And I'm going to encourage you to come back to this ritual, listen to this set of mantras and this set of meditation tools that I'm going to be giving you at the end that can really bring you back to center. Do it as often as you need to. Sometimes you need to do it every time your spouse comes home from work, or sometimes you need to do it every single time your kids come home from school, because remember, they're going to bring in energy too. When you're at a location and you don't understand that you are an energetic being, you are going to pick up the energy of that location. It's a huge reason why people hate work. It's a huge reason why people hate going to school. Because again, you're walking into this situation that's dropping your vibration lower. So then your experience starts to become at that vibration. And before you know it, you had a really lousy day. And it's just because you walked in and you didn't have awareness of your energetics, so you couldn't architect how your frequency was going to flow. You couldn't become that creator. So again, that awareness is key. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go through a cleansing ritual where I'm going to guide you through clearing and protecting your frequencies so that you can have an awareness and you can be the one who decides how you're going to channel your energy in, and you know how to clear it if something happens and any energy enters your field that you don't want. And you also know how to block it so you don't have to worry about things entering your field that you don't want. You can do this practice sitting with your eyes closed, or you can do this practice with your eyes open and just repeat back after me the sentences that I say. You can do that out loud, or you can do that in your head, wherever you are, wherever there's an environment where you can be most comfortable in. It works regardless. It's about connecting to the frequency of release. And as soon as you do that, you open yourself up to release. So I invite you to take a moment as we walk through clearing this energy and we bring you back to the frequency that you are intending so you can continue moving forward as the architect of your creation. Take a moment to take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Feel your body begin to settle, and with each breath, allow tension to melt away. From the top of your forehead, releasing all tension to your shoulders, allowing that to release out. Down your arms, allowing that heaviness to settle in. Sinking down to your sit bones, and wherever you're sitting, allowing that to flow deeper. Moving down through your knees and your legs all the way to your feet. Anchoring your feet into the ground. Now imagine a stream of golden light pouring down from above. This golden light enters through the top of your head and starts to flow through your entire body. This light is warm, it's intelligent, and it's loving. Take deep breaths as it moves through every cell, flushing out any energy that does not belong to you. Watch that light move to any area within your body that has darkness or stagnation, and see that energy, any heaviness, any cords, or any attachments. See that light dissolve them and drain them down into the earth like running water. All the way down to the earth where it gets transmuted into sparkling light. Breathe in deeply. Now breathe out. And call in a protective bubble around your entire body. See it forming from the golden light, expanding outward until it surrounds your entire being. This bubble is shimmering, it is strong, it's alive. It filters out all energy and only allows love and truth to enter. Say silently or out loud, I release all attachments. I reclaim my energy. I am sovereign, safe, and whole. Take a moment to feel your bubble. Know you're protected, grounded, and aligned. And take one more deep breath. And when you're ready, gently return. I want to thank all of you for taking the time out to clear your energy with me today, to uplift your energetic frequency, and to be a part of the shift on this planet, to bring us all into those sovereign, beautiful beings that each one of us are. Thank you so much for listening. I encourage each one of you to please write a review on this podcast. That is how you can help us to grow. Also, to share this with anyone you believe can be changed with this knowledge. And know that no matter what, we're all in this together. I love you all, and I'll chat with you next week.
You've just tuned into Rewrite Reality with Jillian Grace, architect of energetic alignment and pioneer of integrated self-transformation. If this episode shifted your frequency, share it with someone you care about because one share can spark healing, alignment, and a ripple effect of transformation in someone's life. Submit your questions today at jilliangrace.com/ask and explore transformational tools, masterclasses, and frequency-based healing at jilliangrace.com. Join me every week to elevate your vibration, rewrite your reality, and activate the life your soul remembers.